Welcome to Lit Vibes Only, where we lit the shit out of books we love and hate. I'm Amanda, the insightful thrill seeker and historical fiction nerd.
And I'm Kelsey, the unhinged, diehard romantic and fantasy reader. Welcome to today's episode. We're covering Yesteryear by
Caro
Burke. So we're excited to get into this. But first, Amanda, do you want to share? Or wait, is it me? I'm sharing socials.
Yes. You're doing socials, yes.
On to Amanda. So you can find us on Instagram at livevibesonly_podcast and TikTok and YouTube at Live Vibes Only Podcast. We share different things there. I've been trying to share more about my pregnancy and reading to baby and things like that because my reading has definitely changed throughout pregnancy, and it has changed, I will say. And you can also find us on Fable, where you're going to find both of our book clubs, where we are highlighting the books that we are highlighting on the podcast. And so you get to vote for those books beforehand, and then Amanda and I will read them. So you can join mine or Amanda's or both. And we're at Lit Vibes Only Pod -Kelsey or -Amanda. Yep. So that's how you find us. And then, of course, always on Spotify or Apple, you can go rate and review our podcasts. We would greatly appreciate that.
So much.
And then finally, though, what really matters is downloading the episode. It just is that plus click button that you have in Apple or Spotify. And that helps us get more followers and get more
visibility.
Thank you. In the world, because Buzzsprout, where we upload our episodes, that's like the metric that is used to gain popularity and all of that.
All that good stuff.
Go do those things.
Yes,
they take like a minute.
They really do. And they have such a huge impact. So definitely take the time to do that if you haven't. We promise it only takes 2 seconds. And if you don't want to do them all today, you can sprinkle it out over your work week. You set yourself a little task, a little reminder, but it really goes a long way. And there are a lot of podcasts out there. So we're just fighting for a little bit of visibility and trying to keep our head above water. And all of those little things add up and really help us so much. So thank you guys in advance. We appreciate it. And now it's time to talk about books.
Yes. But before we get into the book of the hour, Amanda, what are you reading right now?
So I am about to start a book that was one of my highly anticipated reads of 2026. I had to wait a minute for it to come through on my Libby. And it is Anatomy of an Alibi by Ashley Elston. It is, of course, a thriller. I read First Lie Wins by this author last year and really enjoyed it. So I'm very excited to see what she's cooked up in this latest thriller. It focuses on 2 women, and I don't know a lot of the details because I haven't read it yet, but it sounds like they work together to do some spying on one of the women's husbands because one of them is married, and somehow I believe he ends up dead, and now they basically both need alibis for the murder to make sure neither of them goes to prison. I think that's roughly what's going to happen in the book. Honestly, I'm not that sure, but I'm just excited to read it because she's a new author that I found last year and just really enjoyed First Lie Wins, and I'm hoping that this book lives up to expectations because I feel like there have been some disappointments recently for me in the book world, in the reading world, when I'm hoping for a 4 or 5 star thriller. We'll see.
Okay.
What are you reading?
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Just wrapping up Lucky Red, and I think I mentioned this in the previous episode, but I had no idea what it was about, and I'm glad I didn't know. It was great, actually, going into it completely blind. I was like, oh, where's this going? It was like a Western novel. I don't know what year it was. It probably said somewhere like the year, but it was like maybe 1800s, and it's about a brothel and this queer character who makes a living by being one of the, what do they call them? I don't remember what they call them in the book, but one of the girls that works is a sex worker. And it was a good story. I really liked it. And our book club is meeting tomorrow to discuss it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm curious. It sounds like a lot of things that I wouldn't have put together in the same story. Like, a Western and like a queer character and a
Yeah, no. Also, I didn't mention the author, Claudia Cravens. I do think that you would like it, Amanda.
Is it?
I do.
A long book or is it a pretty quick read?
No, I don't think it's a very long book. Let me look real quick because I read it or listened to it. I can't tell how long it is.
I can look it up later. I was just curious. Maybe I'll add it.
11 hours. 11 hours.
Oh, so probably
it wouldn't be that
350 or something. Okay. That's not bad. It's definitely got an intriguing premise that you don't come across often.
Yeah.
I'm like, when was the last time I read a book set in like the Wild West? It's not really my thing. Okay.
It wouldn't have been a book I would have chosen.
Yeah. Lucky
Which
red.
is why I enjoy the book club.
Yeah.
Because I don't choose pretty much any of the books because I'm like, I don't know. You guys have a more eclectic taste in books.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're hit and sometimes they're misses for me. Or lit-its and sometimes they're quit-its for me. But when they're lit-its, it's good.
Really
it's
good.
Really well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, we are clearly all about expanding our reading taste on this podcast. So that's very much in line with who we are and what we're trying to do. So that's great. All right. Lucky red. I'll keep that in mind. Okay. Well, I am so ecstatic to talk about this book because at this point, gosh, I've read it now, I think 2 months ago. And have
and it came out in the spring, right?
Yeah. So I read it the month it came out. This is definitely a book. I actually have it here with me. I went out and bought it because I knew that it would be like a bazillion year wait on Libby. And I just needed to read it. So super stoked to talk about it because it's definitely, if you read the book along with us or if you've read it already, it is definitely a book worth discussing because it's totally bonkers and touches on a lot of social things. So that's why I chose it. I wasn't necessarily sure if Kelsey would like it, give it a lit, but I do think regardless of what she thought, she would have some strong feelings about it or have things that she wanted to comment on. I'm also having my book club read this book. So my book club will be reading it or is currently reading it. We'll be discussing it next weekend, I think. So I'm also curious to get to chat about it more there as well. So that was the reason why I chose it. It's a huge book right now. It's super buzzy. Everyone's talking about it. It's definitely going to be one of those 2026 books of the year type book. And it's very much a book of the moment. Like all of the issues that she's touching on are super relevant, super timely. It's happening right now. So I think that's another reason why I wanted to read it and talk about the different issues it touches on. So yeah, that's why I made Kelsey read it. Hopefully, again, you guys joined my book club and read along with us. But the moment of truth.
And I think I was the only one in there lamenting. Or so far, I guess. So far,
because this is May for us, but this will drop in a couple weeks. But Kelsey, was this book a lit it or quit it for you?
It is a soft lit it.
Yes. Okay. I anticipated that.
Horrible.
You liked it mostly. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll get into it.
We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll have plenty of time to chat. But you have a book to summarize and you don't seem to be too thrilled about it.
No, I'm not thrilled about it. It's like these stupid timelines and I hate when there's different timelines.
But there's only two. I guess there's three. There's three timelines. Yeah. Because there's there's like the present. There's like when she's in college and then there's in 1855, quote unquote. Is there more than that? I think it's just the three.
But it starts in the past, which is what you're saying is like the now-ish. But then that's the only time you have it. And then it leads in, everything else leads into the now. Does that make sense? Like it starts there, but then it goes back and then comes forward.
I'm so confused, but it will all become clear. I think it's also confusing because of like the twist too, right? Because the past isn't in fact the past.
Yes.
But okay, let's.
Anyway.
Yeah, we'll just get into the summary and yeah.
Okay. I did my best, y'all. I didn't read over this, so I might change things along the way. But
Okay.
I just wrote it, and then hopefully this has the best information or whatever. Okay. So the book starts off, part 1, the past, and it starts off with Caleb and Natalie at the farm. Mm-hmm. The entire book is through Natalie's POV, and their farm is placed in the middle of nowhere, Idaho. Wanted to mention some important characters. The mother, or I think they call her Mama, Natalie Heller Mills. She's the main character and the POV. Caleb is her husband. He works the ranch, and Clementine is the eldest child. She's about 12 in this timeline. And Shannon is her social media producer, who also lives on the farm with them full time. Interesting character, Rena, is Natalie's ex-college roommate that she fixates on throughout the book and her life. Unbeknownst to Rena, really. Then the rest of the children are Stetson, Samuel, Jessa, and Junebug. Natalie is currently pregnant as well with their 6th child in this past timeline. And early on, we are opened up to Natalie's current world. She has about 5 million followers on Instagram, and her husband is the cattle rancher. They have 5 children, like I said, and 1 on the way. And they have 2 nannies and 1 social media producer that works for them. They also have workers out on the cattle ranch, but those people are not well known. We know that they're there. Mm-hmm. And they have a line of home products that they sell. This is how they make their money on social media. And it's clear that Natalie plays this role that she tries to keep up a facade of a perfect life. And initially, her POV is like, oh my God, I love my life. Thank God for everything. And then it very quickly, like not even 15, 20 minutes into the audio, you're getting this sense that she's angry and that she actually hates her life and the things that she's doing. I think the first thing that you realize is she says to somebody, oh, pregnancy brain. And then in her own dialogue, she's like, I fucking hate that phrase. And so anytime she swears in her mind, or at least what you think is in her mind, she's like, I'm sorry, God, blah, blah, blah. And so it's like this interesting internal world that you're getting to know from Natalie's perspective. So then the next immediate chapter is titled The Future. And all of a sudden, Natalie is in a world that she doesn't recognize. She thinks she's in her modern home, but quickly realizes that nothing in her home is modern. Everything appears really old-fashioned and not from this century. So they don't have heating, they don't have lighting, and no modern appliances. She's in a bedroom waking up, and she hears children laughing and finds that she doesn't recognize the children when she leaves the room. She's greeted by Mary, who is, again, almost a teenager, so similar to Clementine. There's a child, Noah, Abel, and Maeve, that live in this timeline. And she's grappling with the idea that she's not where she's supposed to be. She initially thinks that she might have been kidnapped because she had so many followers and people want to do her harm. But then she finds some height measurements of the children and of herself dated in the 1850s. And it's as if she's been brought back to the 1800s. And there are rude awakenings Natalie faces in this timeline. For instance, she attempts to leave twice. In the initial attempt, Caleb hits her to get her back to the house. And the second time, her foot gets stuck in an animal trap, and she really severely hurts her ankle doing this. And so every time she's brought back to the house, Mary, in this case, lends her to health, and they don't have any modern medicine that they're using. And from there, the book begins to tell Natalie's story. So then it goes back in time all the way to when she starts college. And when you first meet her back in that timeline, she's 17. And she attends Harvard, meets her roommate, Rena. Some things happen there, but we can speak more to those instances in our discussion. And you learn that she grew up with her sister and mother, sister being Abigail, and I forget her mother's name. Her mom, in her childhood, told the girls that her husband had died, so their father, and her mother taught her traditional values and traditional gender roles through the church that they attended. And not long into college, she meets Caleb, who ends up being her husband. He's part of a famous political family, and he's the youngest of the family. And they marry quickly and have their first child, Clementine. Natalie is very disappointed by Caleb, who ends up being like this man who has little ambition, is lazy, and has no direction in his life. And she sees herself as having like all this ambition and is really disappointed that Caleb lacks that quality. She spends a lot of her time trying to make him into something he's not, trying to push him towards a career or towards anything to him to be a man in her eyes. But eventually she gets the help of her in-laws, because her in-laws also have this idea that they're like disappointed in their son and want him to do something with his life. In the end, they buy a farm and land, only with the help of her father-in-law, so they can begin a cattle ranch. By the way, Natalie and her husband know nothing about cattle ranching, and they end up killing a lot of animals in the process. And she ends up having more babies because it was the deal she made with her father-in-law in exchange for the money for the farm. He gave them $5 million to start this farm. And so, yeah, she always wanted a family, a giant family. But it's really clear throughout the book that she's constantly pressuring herself into these traditional values that she doesn't really want. But I don't think it's clear for her what she wants beyond that. And so their life grows from there. Natalie and Caleb struggle in their romantic relationship, and Natalie resents Caleb. Caleb stays very distant, but they continue to grow their family. One day, Natalie gets a ton of followers. Her Instagram is about the ranch and their life. And it's because of a man on social media who mentions her as being like this traditional wife and someone that other women should look up to. And yeah, that she shares all the values that a woman should be. And millions of people end up following her. This is how they end up famous and make money through the ranch, because the ranch by itself, you don't make any money doing the farm work, or at least they didn't, and especially not the rich life. And then let's see. Then becomes like a more household name, and she ends up hiring Shannon, the social media producer. Shannon works for her for 2 years, and things end up going sideways, and Shannon begins to tear apart the facade of the ranch. She speaks to the nannies about their lives and to the eldest child, Clementine. And she's slowly breaking apart the ruse that Natalie has attempted to create here at the ranch. And one small detail is she learns that the children really have no knowledge of the outside world by being homeschooled by the nannies, and including something basic as the ocean. Clementine's asks one day, like, what's the ocean? And Shannon's like, wait, what the fuck? And even Natalie was trying to say, you know what the ocean is. Like, they taught you that, trying to cover up that gap in knowledge. And then eventually Shannon sleeps with Caleb, and he thinks he's in love. And Caleb tells Natalie that he's leaving her for Shannon. Natalie ends up losing her cool and ends up in a physical scuffle with Shannon. She chokes her, but she doesn't fully remember the details. This is where you start to wonder about her mental health. You wonder the whole time. But at this point, she's like losing parts of her memory during actual events while she's like choking Shannon. She ends up calling her father-in-law, who's this rich politician, for help, and they come up with a plan of support. Then they all realize what Natalie actually did, and that's when their world like truly starts to fall apart. And throughout learning all of this in the book, there are flashes of going back to the 1800s, and they eventually intersect. In the end, you realize that she's had a mental breakdown after the incident with Shannon. Because also, as an aside, Shannon ends up going to the public about her story of the ranch, and people really want to know what's going on at this ranch. And Shannon shares that. And so what they end up doing is choosing to live a basic life to prove to people that she could do it, because that's what she's professing in her Instagram and her social media, is that she wants to be a traditional wife and live a traditional life. And she had 4 more children that were born into this life, Mary being the oldest, which was who she was pregnant with at the beginning of the story. And Mary ends up taking care of everyone at the house because her mother is mentally unstable. And the true oldest daughter, Clementine, essentially comes in to rescue the children from the abuse from their mother and dad and what they both put them through. And in the epilogue, you find out that she's in prison, Natalie, for child abuse. And she's requested to do an interview. And she specifically requests Rena, this woman that she felt connected to all these years, but judged heavily and obsessed over her life heavily. And in the interview, we end up finding out that Mary has written a book about her mother, her life with her mother. And the book just ends there.
Yep.
So,
see, that wasn't so bad.
it was too. Oh my God.
No, you did a good job of unraveling the events in a way that made sense. Because in the book, it's, as you said, it's hopping back and forth. And the big twist is like, is she actually in 1855? Was there time travel involved? Like, has she been kidnapped? And so, the big twist is that no, they chose to live this really rustic life. They're still in the same house. They haven't left the house. It's the same house. They just ripped out all the appliances, the electricity, the wiring for all that.
It's crazy.
And you also find out, which I found really interesting, that 2 of the original set of children, so now they're older, are essentially Stetson and I don't remember all of their names.
I just had it.
But they're living...
Stetson and Samuel,
they're now grown and they're living they're living near the ranch in their own little house, and they're the ones who are providing food, produce to the family and basically keeping them alive. Because again, as Kelsey mentioned, neither Caleb nor Natalie actually know how to farm or do anything. So it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. So anyhow, so much to discuss, so much. But let's start with the positives. What are some things that you did really enjoy or find intriguing about this book?
Yeah, I enjoyed the fact that Natalie was an unreliable narrator in this book, like that. And the way that it unraveled to realize that she was an unreliable narrator. I appreciated that storytelling and writing. Yes. So that was the first thing.
Okay.
It was a good storytelling. I was intrigued by what was happening. I was like, okay, she's back in the 1800s. Like, what the fuck? And she's done, all these like different,
because like she was pregnant and now she's not, and what's going on?
Yes, those aspects of like this mystery aspect to the book, and also that it was like watching a dumpster fire the whole time. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with her? The fact that it ends pretty much with her assaulting Shannon, like this made a lot of sense, connected to her internal dialogue throughout the book, and wasn't as surprising, but it was just like watching this
train
awful
wreck. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was intriguing to me.
Okay. Yeah. She's a very unlikable character. And I was curious how you would feel about that, because I know I tend to like unlikable characters more than you do. Yes. And so I wasn't sure how you were going to respond, because she is not a good person. She doesn't really have any redeeming qualities or moments in this book. Really? There's never a moment where you're like, oh, okay, Natalie, I see you. It's like, no, you're horrible all the time. So I'm surprised that I guess we haven't gotten to the negatives yet, but I am curious, did that bother you at all that she was unlikable?
No, it
Okay.
didn't actually.
Okay.
Throughout this book, I was like, yeah.
Okay.
There's just one thing that comes to mind, like when I think about the negatives, that kind of ties it together. But
Okay, well, do you want to mention it now since it connects to it?
yeah, sure. I just this book is almost a soft quit it because of this. Like, I don't fucking understand the point of this book. I don't understand who this is for. And to me, I didn't like necessarily learn anything from what she's sharing.
Okay.
This just felt like a standalone. It didn't seem to me like a commentary on feminism or the downfalls of like traditional living. It just felt like it was the only point of this book for me that I got out of it was like, this was a funny, interesting story. Like, but I think that it's supposed to have more meaning, and it's supposed to like comment on society. But I just like, I did not get that. And
okay. Wow.
It just felt like a train wreck is what it felt like.
I mean,
like, it just felt like a modern train wreck of a story.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. And I remember in the comments on your book club, I was like, what's the point of this book?
Wow. Okay. It definitely is a social satire. That's why she wrote it. And so there is obviously that humor that comes along with being satirical. It also is like marketed as a thriller because there is that what's going on, what's happening, trying to figure out. It's a psychological thriller. But I think I liked it.
I would not classify it as that.
Oh, really? I feel like the whole thing with her mental breakdown and trying to figure out what exactly happened with her being in 1855, that's the thriller aspect. And I could see that being pulled out of this novel and that being built into a thriller. So yeah, that's the psychological thriller aspect. Then obviously a bunch of it's about social commentary and social satire. But I feel like it has so much to say. I think if you're looking for one clear message, then yeah, that you're not going to find it because she does touch on a lot of different things because she's like talking about the political sphere. She's talking about womanhood and motherhood. She's talking about religion. She's talking about fame and online identities versus reality. Like which I could see someone seeing that as a downside. Like, oh my gosh, just pick a couple of issues to address and leave it at that. You don't have to try and dive into every, she starts talking about the manosphere and like all of this stuff. But I think the reason why there isn't some clear message is because we're in the moment. This is a book of the moment, like I was saying, and it's very hard when you're living it to step outside of it and be like, oh, here's the big takeaway. Here's what we should or shouldn't be doing. Here's looking back 2020, like hindsight. This is the takeaway. This is what we should or shouldn't have done. So I think she is, as we all are, like grappling with all of these things in the moment. And it's not supposed to be a book where you come away with like, oh, got it. That's the lesson that I learned. Moving right along. It's more like, wow, this is all very complex and nuanced and complicated and messy and a train wreck. And how do we how do we deal with it? And how does it impact us? Because there is no necessarily clear answer tied up with a bow. Here you go.
But what is the point of her being so angry and like hating her life? Because was this like, derived from like, someone she like knows or someone like, you know what I mean? I didn't understand the point of that.
My understanding. So granted, I also just want to, for those of you who are new to this podcast, who haven't been with us from the beginning and don't know Kelsey and my background. So I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian home, which is very similar to Natalie. And for me, it was, so I had a whole different perspective on this book, but I think one of the sources of her anger is that you see that Natalie is an incredibly intelligent, incredibly ambitious woman. But given the body that she was born in and the faith that she was born into, none of those things are supported, encouraged, recognized. And so I think there's this constant frustration where she's constantly butting up against these parameters that have been set for her. And I feel like that's the source of her anger. And why she is this incredibly frustrated woman. Also, some people have theorized, based on the scene with Shannon when she's assaulting her, that perhaps she's also a closeted lesbian. And so there's that sexual frustration as well, especially because her and her husband don't really have a sexual relationship at all, right? She's using a turkey baster to make these babies. So I think for me, those were the two things in my interpretation of the book was like, oh, that's why she's such an angry woman, is that she feels so unfulfilled and trapped, and she has to use whatever means she has, which are few, to shape her life into the way that she wants. She's the one who essentially makes this deal with Caleb's dad to get this ranch. She's the one who gets this whole business going with her online identity. So she is trying to take advantage of the avenues that she does have access to assert some autonomy, independence, intelligence, dominance that she as a woman is not allowed to have. So do I like Natalie? Absolutely not. But do I understand maybe where the source of her anger is coming from? Yes. I think
it's just interesting. Again, like I thought it was fun storytelling, and that was that.
So you didn't get like any... Like there weren't
like I get that there's commentary about these things, but it didn't like really come together for me. Are they also trying to say, the author, like traditional living is the bane of this woman's existence? Like I guess I'm curious about that part too. And
that's the thing.
Or is that like the thing that's trapping women? Like I don't know. That's hard to... For me, that's hard to really, I don't know. I think what the book does is it puts it in a really negative light, right? Like traditional living or traditional gender roles. And I don't know that that's the case. Like that I believe that.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know that I believe that entirely. And maybe that's why it's hard for me to like really grapple with this story. Not that I want to be living like these people, but to what's the word I'm looking for, but to like comment on the fact that if you're choosing this tradwife life, it's automatically a negative thing. That's
so interesting because, again, for folks who don't follow us on socials, I read this book and then I did a book review on socials. And that actually one of the things I talked about in that, and the reason why I liked this book is because it's not just attacking tradwives. She actually isn't saying like tradwives are awful and like you shouldn't be one. And like all of the other versions of womanhood and femininity are better. If anything, the author shows the issues with all of the other ways of being a woman, right? Whether you're taking Rena's path and trying to make your way in corporate America, that also was like awful and not fulfilling and very frustrating for her. Or like,
but we don't know that. That's only through Natalie's lens.
But we do know, like at least factually, that when they reunite at the end of the book, that in spite of Rena's work in that field for at that point, I guess probably 15 years since college, maybe more than that actually. She's only gotten so far in her career as a news reporter. Like she's like with some basic station in like the Midwest somewhere. And sure, we don't have all of the details of Rena's life, but you can see that she hasn't reached the success that a man probably would have. I'm not saying that every man has a super successful career, but I think you could make that argument. And I think even when you see the college girls at Harvard, and like she's there in her Amish prairie dress, whatever, at this party, and you're seeing these girls and the ways that they're interacting with each other and interacting with men, and you're like, she doesn't necessarily, Caro Claire Burke is not painting those girls in a great light either and saying, this is what you should be doing, right? Like, this is like party girl lifestyle at college and just whatever. Like the way that she talks about how Rena treated that man that she was seeing in college. So I think she does go through with Rena, with Amelia, who's Caleb's mom, who like is a wealthy woman and has a certain level of privilege and power because she is the wife of this politician. But she gets by because she's like heavily medicated and is actually miserable. Or Natalie's mom, who is technically a traditional housewife, but actually cheated on her husband and then divorced him and then lied about it. So it's like none of the women in this book are like Shannon, who is kind of this free, empowered woman, but then sleeps with someone's husband. So I personally like the book because she has it out for everybody. She goes through all of these different versions of womanhood and is like, and here's the problem with this, and here's why this is problematic, and here's like, so I think overall it's a condemnation of the patriarchy, obviously.
But then it's interesting too, her sister Abigail ends up finding a good life with this pastor who is more progressive and is divorced and because her husband was abusing her, right? And I think that's what was happening, and but was condemned for doing so by Natalie. But then finds this other path.
Abigail, you mean?
Progressive.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing too, because it's also, there's different forms of religion. There's different forms of Christianity. Like, some are really traditional and fundamentalist and super conservative, and some are like very open and welcoming and accepting. And so I feel like she just basically is giving us this like microcosm of all of these different aspects of society. And again, this isn't a book where she's like coming out with like, this is what I think and here's my message. She's just like, here, take a look at this. Take a look at the world that we're in. She's just like letting us see ourselves, like reflecting it back at us, and it's up to us to like make meaning and like, decide what to take from it. I don't think it's a book where she's like getting up on her soapbox and like, this is what I think and I'm good. Because some books are like that. It's like, oh, it's very clear what your message is and I want you to believe X by the end of this book. And I didn't feel that way about this book at all. It just made me like ponder, and like, I learned a little bit more about, because I'd never heard the term manosphere actually. And diving into that whole part of our society and the way that there's this growing number of men who are just like, oh, like, I've had it so hard, and actually we're the ones who are suffering in society, and let's all sit around and pout about it.
There's another word for that.
Toxic masculinity.
No.
Red pill?
No.
Oh.
That I know it.
Oh, incel?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'd have to think about it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Mansphere.
Yeah. So I guess I liked it because I felt like it did have a lot of things to touch on without it being like, and here's what I think you should think about it. I like when books give me the freedom to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to take away from it. I mean,
but she's also clearly saying what she thinks about it. I do think there are like, with Natalie being so unstable in her life, she's clearly sharing that this life, if you're going to choose it, makes you blah, 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 right? And also it's negative in this way. That's what I get from this.
No, because here's
what I get from this.
No, because she was that way before she started her family, and Abigail, who was raised
but
in
she
the
was
same,
born in that
Abigail,
way.
who was raised in that same environment, had the same mom, same faith, also had multiple children, is not like that. So they do give us this.
Yeah.
I feel like they give us this example of a more traditional, like Abigail is like the representation of a more traditional life, but that's healthier. Like, she does have multiple children. She is a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't have an education really outside of like high school. I don't think she went to college. But ultimately, she does find happiness and fulfillment with a man who is like more or less the head of that household, it sounds like, but who's also kind and progressive. So I feel like she does give us alternatives. Yes, Natalie is the main protagonist of the book.
Yes.
But I don't think Natalie is not who she is because the tradwife life did not make Natalie. Like, Natalie chose the tradwife life and then twisted, you know what I mean? Like, she's the one who went to the extreme side.
But I do think that it's commenting that this life will,
I think,
lead you down this path.
I think it can. Are you familiar with Ballerina Farm? That's what this character is based on. So Ballerina Farm is this mega tradwife influencer.
That was my question earlier.
Yeah. Oh, what was your question earlier?
Who is this like, pertaining to? Is this like a person she knows?
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. It's based on or connected to that social media influencer who has millions of followers. Okay. They live on a ranch out in, I don't know, I have no idea, Iowa or something. They have a bunch of children. She's always pregnant. She was a ballet dancer. She went to Juilliard and then ended up leaving all of that behind. And they make all their own food and they sell their own product. Like, it's literally this. So it is a commentary specifically on that. But, and like a lot of, so one of the things I did.
Ballerina who?
Ballerina Farm. And one of the things that I liked about this book is when Natalie is talking about the different comments that are being left on her different posts. So there's what do they call them? The angry wives or the angry women? Angry women who are just like, yeah, this is awful and toxic and you're so unhappy and you're setting back feminism and which are comments that are left on Ballerina Farms posts, right? And people are like, what the hell are you doing? You are setting women back and you're trying to get us back barefoot in the kitchen without like dependent on a man.
Interesting.
I don't know. I feel like to me, the book is calling for moderation. If anything, it's like, too much of anything is bad, right? If you go all the way to one side and you're like, yes, men should be at the head of the household and women shouldn't go to college and they should just, obviously that's problematic. And if you go the other way and you're like, all men are awful and we hate them and we don't need them and whatever, like for like militant feminism, like that also can be problematic. Like, I think it's like, can we find some middle ground here? I don't know. But that was my takeaway. I feel like that's also, I think when she's talking about faith and when she's talking about politics, that's also maybe what she's saying. It's like, yeah, people have differing beliefs and standpoints. And if you go to either side, whether it's way too far right, way too far left, way too far militant feminism, way too far tradwife, whatever, like you're going to find yourself in a really problematic situation. And you don't get anywhere by hating on other people and their choices. Part of feminism, especially, is women can choose how they want to live their lives. And if some woman of her own free will decides that's the life she wants for herself, like of her, like fully in her faculties chooses that life, then who are you to be like, wow, I can't believe you're such a horrible woman, you know?
Yeah, and I do think the last thing that I'll say as like these things that I was pointing out earlier is just this also is very white women centered.
Oh, for sure.
And maybe that's why I had such beef with it, is because I don't relate in the same way. And I could see how you relate with your background, like your upbringing. But yeah, I had no connection to any of
for sure.
it. Yeah. And this, I feel like that's who this is geared towards, is white women. Right. And so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's a white woman writing for white women. And we both know that women of color have been left out of the conversation around feminism for forever, right? And around the fight for like, women's rights for so long. So, yeah, this is definitely not written for us or to us. And yeah, my only point of connection, like I said, was, through just having an extremist religious upbringing. And
which it didn't give much clarity into Natalie's upbringing there. It just had a few sentences of like, oh yeah, we went to church and everyone was a traditional wife and had a bunch of babies.
Yeah, because they don't. Because I looked, because I was like, do they ever mention specifically what denomination she is or what? And they don't. They mention Mormon and Baptist and like all these things throughout it, but you never really know. So she left it deliberately ambiguous. You don't know what traditional fundamentalist group she is a part of, but there was for me there was a lot there, because I also was homeschooled, and we also had not to go off on a tangent, but when you were talking about how Clementine didn't know about the ocean, so there, and
oh gosh,
if anyone who is listening,
what story do you have?
If anyone who is listening grew up in a super fundamentalist evangelical Christian home back in the 90s and was homeschooled or went to a Christian school, you will be familiar with these two publishing houses that made curriculum for Christian schools and for homeschool families. One was called Bob Jones and one was called Abeka, and they had the full curriculum, so math, history, science, etc. And it is, going back and looking at what we learned in those books is shocking. We didn't learn, for example, about like dinosaurs, right? Because dinosaurs don't line up with our conception of how old the world is based on the Bible and like all of this stuff. It's just, we just didn't learn about it. The history of this country and like all of that stuff was very whitewashed, very much like this Judeo-Christian perspective. It was crazy.
It's so scary.
It's really, and when you're in it, you don't know. That's all you know. So I'm like, okay, that is how the world works, and that is history, and that is science. And yeah, there are definitely moments in this book where I was like, yeah, I lived that life. It's kind of crazy. We weren't homesteaders. We had a vegetable garden and stuff, but we didn't make all of our own food or bake bread every day or anything.
Because your dad was a doctor, right? Or is a doctor?
Yeah, my dad's a family practice physician.
Yeah.
But again, my mom's an engineer, right? A civil engineer. But then she after baby number 4, because I have 6 siblings, she left, stopped working, and was like a fully stay-at-home mom and kind of got really radicalized. But anyhow, that's a whole nother story. So yeah, I really liked this book, and it made me think. And listeners, we definitely want to hear from you on this one for sure.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming then, Kelsey, your final recommendation for this. Actually, I don't know. What is your final recommendation for this book?
Yeah, that is a good question. Personally, if you're looking for a train wreck of a story, yeah, it's entertaining. That's what I would say. It is entertaining in the end. But if you are not a white woman, you may struggle with the representation in this.
Sure. That's fair. You might not have that point of connection. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. This was a 5-star read for me. It's definitely going to be one of my top reads for the year. I do think if you are part of a book club, I think reading this in community is great, because I do think there's a lot to unpack here and a lot you could discuss. And I'm excited to do that.
I can see that
with my book club. Yeah, there's a lot. So yeah, this one comes highly recommended from me. And I think too, as a thriller reader, that aspect I really enjoy, because I do specifically love psychological thrillers that are very twisty and mind bendy. And this one really gets you, because you're like, how the heck is this possible? What's going on? And that was, delightful. Okay. Oh, also,
it really didn't feel like a thriller to me. I get the psychological piece, but I just would be like psychological something else.
Yeah.
Instead of thriller.
And it's very much a hybrid, right? It's not a straight psychological thriller. So it's probably, it's combined with another genre. But I really liked it. And I'm excited to see how Anne Hathaway does with the film, because obviously she already has the rights for it. She's going to be the one starring in it, and I'm not sure how they're going to tell this story. The twist is going to be obvious, I think, because the kids are going to be different kids, unless I don't know. I was talking with my friend Anna about it, and we were like, how are they going to pull this off in film form? So we shall see.
But the kids are totally different in the other timeline.
They are, but she thinks that they are this, she's like, Mary is like Clementine, but she's not exactly her. Like, Stetson is like this other kid, but it's not exactly. So,
and then it's gonna be Caleb, but he's older.
And exactly. And if we see that Caleb's older, then we're gonna know that it's in the future, not the past. I don't know how they're gonna do it, unless they're gonna rework it and come up with a different twist. So very curious to see that. But anyhow, moving on to our literally the best or literally the worst. Kelsey, you've got 1-star reviews from Goodreads, so you get to go first.
Okay. So this one is from Suzanne. It is very short. Am I being gaslit? 4.23 average review on Goodreads, which, by the way, it's 4.0 now.
Okay.
Holy rage bait.
That's all?
That is it. That is it.
Interesting. I actually don't think it's rage bait. I don't know. I feel
we don't know what they were commenting on, really. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little vague. It's a little short, a little vague. Okay, all of mine are pretty short. My first one is from Kate Quinn. Tradwife culture meets Shutter Island with a dash of Amy from Gone Girl. The protagonist, heroine is the wrong word, is frankly despicable, but that doesn't mean her cutting observations on the pressure of being female and living up under the weight of expectation on women doesn't have a bite of wince-inducing truth. Toxic and mesmerizing. I'll be thinking about this one for a long time. Oh, there is an element of Shutter Island and Amy from Gone Girl. That was such a good combo. Yeah, I totally agree, Kate.
Just because the wife is crazy? Shutter Island?
No, because in Shutter Island, he thinks he's somewhere where he's not. And then Amy from Gone Girl is unreliable.
Okay.
That's my understanding of what they're trying to say.
I don't know that last reference.
Okay.
But okay. Amber. I picked it out expecting a thought-provoking story. The book's summary sounded so good. Unfortunately, the summary was better than any part of the actual book. What I got was a novel that feels less like fiction and more like a long lecture.
Oh. She is touching on a lot of stuff, but it's not dry and boring like a lecture. Okay. My next one, or 5-star, I'm sorry, is from Katie O. What in the actual tradwife, MAGA, Maha, conservative, Christian, manosphere, clusterfuck social media world do we live in that makes this bonkers book seem so real? The marketing copy I received for this book described it perfectly when it mentioned something about how this is a book that needs to be published right now. This is the time for this book, and that makes it even more disturbing. I was absolutely riveted with the story, thoroughly disturbed, but couldn't look away. Yeah, it is a book of our time. Unfortunately, that is the world we live in. And I'm glad I read it when I did.
It was disturbing and
disturbing.
A train wreck. What was the word they used, though? It was like messy or something.
Clusterfuck?
Yes. It was that as well.
That.
Which is the aspect I really liked. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, this one is from Cassette. The more I think about this book, the more disappointed I am by it. I think that upon its release, Yesteryear is going to be everywhere. It's going to be the white woman book club pick of choice. I'm sure. It'll probably make for a great movie, although I'm not sure if I can picture Anne Hathaway as Natalie. Not the point, though. Also, Anne Hathaway, please call me. It's also, to me, half-baked and hollow and probably Ballerina Farm lawsuit fodder.
Oh.
Yesteryear is yet another case of I loved the concept and I think the execution really fell flat for me. As my dear friend M said in her review, amongst my crowd, however of young, lefty progressive, hater-ish, sometimes non-white women reared on the internet, bearing witness to changing social trends and terrible
aristocracy?
This word.
What?
Atrocities.
Atrocities. Okay. It's like,
I can sense this book raising questions to the end of who's this for? What was the point? Yes, thank you. I am not the target audience for this book, despite being an early viewer of Ballerina Farm's content and countless conversations with my friends about the rise of tradwifeism in today's political climate. And that bums me out a little because Yesteryear was one of my most anticipated reads of 2026.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely going to be for sure a bunch of people's book club picks.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, and that touches on stuff we talked about earlier with who the book is written for. Okay. Next 5-star is from Claire Pooley. I'm fascinated by those women who glamorize the type of existence that feminists have been attempting to escape from for centuries. The idea of having 6 children, baking your own sourdough, making your own soap while homeschooling and running a farm while wearing a ball dress, I'm assuming they mean a ball gown, horrifies me and makes me feel incredibly tired and inadequate. So this book had me hooked from the start. What a ride. Yeah, I agree. I think that's true.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's one of the kind of key aspects too to keep in mind is that Natalie is performing tradwifeism. She isn't in reality a tradwife. And so I think there are women who probably do live a more traditional existence and enjoy it, right? But aren't like deluding people into thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm doing like all the things and I'm doing them perfectly and not a hair is out of place. And I think that's, that additional layer where it's like, oh, this is like really gross.
Yeah. Where she's, hello, ladies.
And she's got like 2 nannies like running her household and like her children aren't eating dinner because it took her 5 hours to make a gourmet meal.
Yeah. Ugh. Weird. There's so much to the book that we couldn't touch on, but yeah, There's a lot. The last review I have is from Han. I don't remember the last time I rated a book 1 star, but the time has come. This book was the depiction of rage bait writing and awful structure. I'm feeling delusional seeing this high of an average Goodreads rating. Did we read the same book? Thank you, Han.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's fair. I'm curious. I should go and look. Or do you remember what percentage were 1-star reviews off the top of your head?
I think there was like a little over 1,000
people.
Okay. So it's not very high.
Not very high. Okay. All right. Let's wrap this up with our final 5-star review. This is from Angie Miali, I think. Okay. Everyone's going to read this book. I didn't say everyone's going to love this book. I said everyone's going to read it because it's explosive. It's surprising. It might even be triggering for some of you. And everyone is going to be talking about it. What about me? I loved it. I was absolutely invested in this highly original story. If you like an unlikable, unreliable narrator, you will want to add this to your TBR immediately. The ending was creative and hit me between the eyes like a 2x4. Let's just say it was not what I was expecting, and I think a lot of people are going to be mad about the ending, and other people are going to love it as much as I did. Every year I call a title the book everyone is going to read. Last year I called it Broken Country, and the year before The Measure. In 2026, that book is Yesteryear. Yeah, I think so. I think it's already gotten so much hype, and the fact that Anne Hathaway already bought the rights is just going to add to that even more, for sure.
That was one thing I didn't mention. I did really like the ending and how it wrapped up there.
Yeah,
and how
I did too.
Like insane Natalie looked, and then her obsession with Rena came like full circle, and then her children's like, conclusion essentially.
Yeah. Well, also, I just was thinking about it. I think one reason why she is obsessed with Rena is because I think some part of her wanted that life, right? That independence, autonomy, wanted to go maybe and work in corporate America or whatever it was. And so like there's a lot of jealousy, I think, there that drives that obsession with her.
And in general, she was just like a weird person, like a strange person from the beginning, with her like, strong beliefs of like women shouldn't be doing this and women shouldn't be doing that, and like, Rena into all of those things that she's told herself she can't do.
Right.
Yeah. No.
And when you're raised that way too, you have to keep telling yourself that I'm doing the right thing and other people are wrong in order to like, survive and like, justify it, because you're like, wait, this seems something's not right here. Yeah. All right, friends, we're going to wrap up this episode with a quick reminder of where you can find us on socials. We are on Instagram at litvibesonly_podcast. We are also on TikTok and on YouTube at litvibesonlypodcast. If you want to join our book clubs, you can do that on Fable. I'm Lit Vibes Only Pod Amanda. You can find Kelsey's book club at Lit Vibes Only Kelsey. Come join us. Read along with us, vote on the next books for our Lit It or Quit It episodes. So you get to have a say. It's a great time, and we really want to try and grow those a bit more. And then lastly, if you want to help our podcast grow, then we really need those downloads, those ratings, and those reviews. So if you haven't hit that download button yet today, go ahead and do that as we're wrapping up, and then hit that 5-star button on Apple Podcast or Spotify. If you're on Apple Podcast, you can write a quick review. And if you're on Spotify, you can also write a comment on this episode. Let us know what you thought about this crazy ride of a book. We'll also have voting open. It. Yes, do it. We're also going to have voting open. I want to hear from people on Thursday. And I really want people to vote because I'm so curious to hear other people's perspectives on whether or not this book was a lit it or quit it and why. So make sure you're following us on our socials so that you can be part of the voting on Thursday. Thanks so much for joining us, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.